Well, hello everyone. I am Dr. Emil Anton from Finland, and I want to tell you today about this book, Tracey Rowland's Catholic Theology, and also about the Ratzinger and Reindeer conference that we will have in Finland in a month, where Professor Rowland will give a lecture. So, very briefly, this book is an overview of Catholic theology. What is Catholic theology? It can actually be many things, and it can be a bit confusing because many different kinds of thought systems can be classified within Catholic theology. And Tracey Rowland looks at some main schools and subcategories of Catholic theology in this book, such as Thomism, a great tradition based on Thomas Aquinas, the Dominican from the 13th century. But Thomism is actually a huge family of schools. I didn't count exactly, but there are probably something like 20 different subcategories of Thomism listed here. So first of all, there's classical Thomism, Thomas himself. There's so-called Baroque or Suarezzian Thomism from the 16th century. There is a Leonine Thomism from the 19th century. Pope Leo XIII initiated a sort of Thomistic revival. Then there is the so-called Neo-Thomism that is basically divided into three main branches. This sort of so-called strict observance Thomists like Garrigou Lagrange, also called Neo-Scholastic. Then there is the second group, which is a bit Kantian, from Immanuel Kant. Karl Rahner is the big name here, and also Bernard Lonergan, the Canadian. Then there is the third group, which is more of an existential group. There's Etienne Gilson, and also the so-called Lublin Thomism with Karol Wojtyła John Paul II as the biggest name, coming under this category of existential, and I would add also personalist Thomism. Then, well, there's Toulouse Thomism, and there's all kinds of Thomisms, but we have to move on to the next category, which is Communio. Communio is, well, basically the more conservative of the two main influential groups around the Second Vatican Council. So Joseph Ratzinger, Pope Benedict, is a big name here. Also Hans Urs von Balthasar and Henri de Lubac. So we are talking about the Central European revival in Catholic theology, Nouvelle Théologie, going back to the sources, ad fontes, the ressourcement, patristic biblical renewal, and so on, and liturgical renewal that was behind the Second Vatican Council, and then later also emphasized the texts, the documents of the Second Vatican Council, as well as a sort of a Christological approach and a faith-based approach to dialogue with the world. Whereas the other group, Concilium, these two names are based on theological journals that they started. The Concilium was first, and then the Communio broke away from that and started a new journal because they felt Concilium was going too much into the, let's say, zeitgeist, the spirit of the world or the spirit of the times. So the Concilium was a group, or is a group, that focuses more on the so-called the signs of the times, so the spirit of the Vatican II, of the Second Vatican Council, also the spirit of our age. So it is more recontextualizing the faith according to modern thought systems. Could be Marxism, could be Kant, or other postmodernism. The big names here are Karl Rahner, but also Edward Schillebeeckx, and well, Hans Küng was there as well, but then let's say he crossed some limits. So Rahner and Schillebeeckx would be probably the two most important names here. Then and Johann Baptist Metz. I knew I forgot something. So Johann Baptist Metz comes into political theology, and well, this connects us to the next group, which is liberation theology. Also very much sort of a political theology, praxis first, so ethos before logos, unlike in the Communia group. So ethics would be primary, or the praxis, a strong focus on the poor, a strong focus on the so-called the people. The people is a sort of a locus theologicus, and Pope Francis is also situated widely in, or broadly in this category of liberation theology, although we have to also notice that there's a difference between, let's say, Brazilian and Argentinian liberation theologies, and also difference between the individual theologians. So some of the big names are Leonardo Boff, who eventually left the priesthood, his brother Clodovis Boff, and then there was Gustavo Gutierrez, who, let's say, balanced his approach a bit after dialogues with the Congregation of the Doctrine of the Faith with Ratzinger. And so, also liberation theology is divided into several subcategories or different approaches. But these are basically the main groups. So there's Thomism under many labels. There's Communia, there's Concilium, and there's liberation theology. This is the approach taken by Tracey Rowland. She clearly seems to favor the Communia approach. In this book, the others are treated a bit more critically, it seems, between the lines at least, sometimes even explicitly. But anyway, it's a good overview, especially of, we can say, Western Roman Catholic theological groups. There are also, of course, Eastern Catholic churches, which are not so much dealt with here. There's the language barrier and all that. But anyway, good introductory book. Now, I want to tell you about this conference that is taking place in Finland. So Professor Tracey Rowland is coming to give a lecture in Helsinki, Finland, on Joseph Ratzinger and Europe. So this is a time when we are thinking about Europe a lot, the limits of Europe and the values of Europe. And well, in a month, so 3rd of June, we will have this open lecture at 6 p.m. in Helsinki, Finland. And the title is Joseph Ratzinger in Europe, and the venue is the Cultural Center Sofia, Sofia. It is in Eastern Helsinki. And this conference has a fun title. It's called the Ratzinger and Reindeer. You can find the website at ratzingerandreindeer.wordpress.com, and there you can find the whole program. So first I will give an introductory lecture at 4 p.m. and then Tracey Rowland will give the keynote lecture. Saturday we visit some reindeer in the National Park Nuuksia in Espoo, close to Helsinki, and you can take part in that little excursion. Then we have another academic session. The academic sessions are free. There are people coming from Australia, America, Europe, some via Zoom, and others will be present, some Finnish scholars and also lay people who want to listen to the sessions. So you are welcome, and you can contact me through the contact form on the website or also personally. So, and my website is emilanton.com. And also on Sunday there is a tour of Helsinki, and on Monday, if you want to stay for one more day, there is a day trip to Turku, which is the medieval capital of Finland and we can say the Catholic capital of Finland, well, the center of the medieval Catholic diocese of Turku. So there is a medieval cathedral and a medieval castle that we will visit and learn something about the unknown Catholic history of Finland. Okay, so that's it for today. Just a short 10-minute video about Professor Tracey Rowland's book and the upcoming conference. You can register until mid-May. If you see this just in time, and well, you can even contact me just before the conference, which starts on June the 3rd, but I would prefer registrations until mid-May, so we know how many people will take part in all the trips and all that. Thank you very much. Have a good spring, or if you are in a part of the world where there is a different season, then happy whatever season. God bless and welcome to Finland.